Ma Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Rama. Just now coming. I wanted to show you on the screen, but I won't be able to show you on the screen right now. A little correction from yesterday evening. Compliments of Nandimukhi. There we go. So it was on the screen and now it disappeared again. So yesterday, I made a remark that according to Vallabhacharya's commentary on the timing of Krishna's appearance and the timing of Putana's appearance in Braja, it was on a certain nakshatra that Krishna appeared. Remember that? And then 6 days later was another nakshatra when Putana came. It was 6 days after the nakshatra when Krishna appeared. Remember that? So the Aslesha nakshatra, when Putana came to Vrindavan and was killed by Krishna, was 6 days after the nakshatra when Krishna appeared, which was an auspicious time, the Rohini constellation, Rohini nakshatra. And then Aslesha nakshatra is 6 nakshatras later. So the clarification, because I still don't really too well understand all this. Lunar mansions are ways of describing the constellations through which the moon moves in a period of 27.3 days. 27 different constellations. And then that makes a 360-degree rotation of the moon. And so every 27.3 days, the moon passes through each of the constellations, each of the nakshatras. And therefore, it's quite possible that what Vallabhacharya said was that the constellation when Putana was killed, which was 6 constellations or nakshatras later, could have been 3 months later. Should I do it again? Yes, I'll do it again. The Vedic cosmology is a combination of solar and lunar. Just by lunar calculation, the movements of the moon pass through the background of nakshatras. The moon keeps moving, the nakshatras, whether they move or not is another story, but every 27.3 days, the moves through each of the constellations or nakshatras. That's point number one. Number two, Krishna appeared Rohini Nakshatra. Putana was killed on the Ashlesha Nakshatra, which is 6 days after the Rohini Nakshatra. So the conclusion is, this is, unless Balabhacharya specified otherwise, it can be that Krishna was about 27 or 27.3, that's 1 month, times 3, that's 3 months, plus 6 days. Yes? Should I do it again? I don't, no one's asking me to do it again, so I won't do it again.
Why does it say unless Balabhacharya specified?
Well, I say it slower. Why do what?
Unless Balabhacharya specified.
Because he didn't specify. She's just being Nandimukhi. Because, you know, she very politely, very gently and gracefully said, I don't see that there's a contradiction between the 6 days later constellation when Putana came to Vrindavan and got killed, and Prabhupada's statement that it was 3 months later. Here's how it could be 3 months plus 6 days. And that's her explanation. So unless Vallabhacharya specified otherwise, that means unless it was 6 days old only, not 3 months plus 6 days, unless he specified, it could easily be both statements are correct. 3 months plus 6 days. I mean, it's not easy to politely and gently and, you know, respectfully correct your spiritual master. She's good at it. She's very good. So let's move on. So this is, you know, Putana Leela Part 3. The heading is Putana killed. Putana Leela, Putana killed. So where we left off was text number 10. So we're starting now with text number 11. This is the translation, Prabhupada's BBT translation. Unbearably pressed in every vital point, the demon Putana began to cry. Please leave me, suck my breast no longer, perspiring, her eyes wide open, and her arms and legs flailing. She cried very loudly again and again. So we're going to be following the same procedure. That is, many different sources commenting on each of the verses. We're going to start with the usual Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur. And some of the points are repeated, some of the points are a little different. Being squeezed by the child in all her sensitive points, she began flailing her hands and legs, or arms and legs. Jiva Goswami, after saying, "Get away from me," she could not repeat it, since she had no strength to utter any more. He pressed all the points, or marma, containing life in her body. She cried out in pain while crying. Now, does anybody here know what marma means?
Pressure points.
Pressure points. I learned that from an Ayurvedic doctor, because it's part of Ayurveda. I mean, it's probably part of other sciences or medical science, but it's certainly part of Ayurveda. And in Ayurveda, you know, one of the things that the testing that an Ayurvedic physician does is they feel your pressure points and, of course, pulse, but then they also examine how is your strength. So Krishna knew, and he pressed the marma points containing life in her body, and she cried out in pain and screamed. Sanatana Goswami, this is short, she shouted loudly but uselessly. He pressed all the points where life resided in her. She cried loudly. Nice painting. Feeling intense pain, Putana shrieked, "Please leave me, leave me." As she forcefully tried to throw the baby off her, as she forcefully tried to throw the baby off her breast, but Krishna held tightly with both hands and sucked her breast milk with the cup of his soft lips. This is the poetic languages in Vrindavan Champu. Curiously, Krishna derived no satisfaction from drinking that milk. Then, further, then Putana assumed her Rakshasi form as a horrible demon. After accepting her poison milk, Krishna threw Putana's huge and hideous body out of town. If the body had fallen in the city, it could have killed many residents. Being careful not to harm. Gopal Champu. That Gopal Champu, this is Jiva Goswami's writing, and it's another retelling of the pastime. Yelling, "Let go of me!" In great pain, she freed herself from her life heirs. So this is the soul separating from the rest of her body. She was able to pull Krishna from her chest because she had been purified, leaving Braja like a flying bird. She gave up her body. Seeing this, everyone thought, some terrible sound has arrived in Braja. Going to the place, they saw that Putana had assumed her natural form. You know, she is a shape-changing mystic power, and she made herself look really, really, really beautiful. And, you know, that got her through closed doors and all kinds of things. Taking the child who was holding onto her chest, she flew in the air. The life heirs of the two mothers, who's the two mothers? Rohini and Yashoda, also quickly flew away from the lotus of their bursting hearts. In other words, they fainted. If the two mothers had not fainted when the child was taken by Putana, how would they have been able to endure the situation? They could not. They would have died. And Gopal Champu continues, there's demigods watching all this. The Devatas thought that her cries were a thunderbolt, that the wind from her flying was the final devastation, that her falling to earth was an earthquake, and that her dead corpse was a mountain range, 12 miles long. 12 miles long. She's a big lady. Coming close, they understood the strange creature and remained near Putana for some time. They understood it was Putana. The child was stuck to her chest, holding the tip of her breast. In their hearts, they recognized Krishna's power, and they laughed heartily. Continuing, here's the Devatas say, the huge she-demon who took a small form to take the child has been destroyed. It is not surprising. The poison of Putana's body must necessarily be destroyed by this child, who is a moon with a body of nectar. When poison contacts another object, it also becomes poison. If nectar contacts poison, it becomes poison. How amazing when Krishna, with nectar limbs, contacts poison. He remains nectar, and Puta remains poison. Neither has been transformed. Jiva Goswami. Putana, like deceitful night, took on a huge form to oppose the boy possessing fresh rasas, giving sorrow to the day lotuses and tree lotuses, giving bliss to the night creatures who oppose the sun, or Krishna. She met her destruction. Krishna. The breast is the life for the child. When you offer your breast to my mouth, and I drink from your breast, if you die, what is my fault? Please tell me. So that was text 11, and now text 12. The word that's in color code here is rasa, which is a little slightly different word. As Putana screamed loudly and forcefully, the earth with its mountains and outer space with its planets trembled. The lower planets and all directions vibrated, and people fell down, fearing that thunderbolts were falling upon them. She had a big voice, she had a big body. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments, rasa in this verse means Rasatala and other lower planets. There's different spellings. He's helping us understand the purpose. The earth, Jiva Goswami, the earth and lower planets trembled and echoed the sound, and the directions echoed the sound. The people had never heard such a loud sound, and thus fell to the ground. Text 13. In this way, the demon Putana, very much aggrieved because her breast was being attacked by Krishna, lost her life. O King Parikshit, opening her mouth wide and spreading her arms, legs, and hair, she fell down in the pasturing ground in her original form as a Rakshasi, as Vritrasura had fallen when killed by the thunderbolt of Indra. So they're going to spend the Acharyas are going to spend some time making a comparison of Putana and Vritrasura. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Because of the pain of death, the Rakshasi could not maintain her disguise as a beautiful woman and reverted to her Rakshasi form. Sanatana Goswami writes, the pain in her breast was the main cause of her dying. She is compared to Vritra because she had a huge body and, like him, attained the spiritual world. Shukadev calls to the king in joy. Like you, a king who protects people from the wicked, Krishna protected Vraja from the body of Putana. He makes reference to a nice verse found in 1st Canto, Chapter 2. Her original form was that of an owl, This is mentioned previously. Tokena jiva haranam yad uluki kaya. He killed the woman with the body of an owl when he was a child. And then the explanation is given. It has to do with owls are busy at night. So she came at night. The night owl, you know, ooh, ooh, ooh. This is Jiva Goswami. The word Goshte here means near a place kept for milking the cows, not where people were living. So she was at a distance out in the pasturing ground, not in the village where she could knock over houses and kill people. Moving her feet, she crushed trees. She flailed her arms as if trying to fly like a bird. It was previously mentioned that she flew to Braja. Remember? O King, Parikshit, understanding this story, you will protect the people. Now he's 7 days left on the clock for him, but this is how he's speaking. Text 14. O King Parikshit, when the gigantic body of Putana fell to the ground, it smashed all the trees within a limit of 12 miles. Appearing in a gigantic body, she was certainly extraordinary. So nice paintings, BBT artwork. Due to intense pain, Putana ran out of the house, fled the village, and fell down to the ground on the outskirts of Vraja. The word api signifies that not only while living, but even while dying, Putana was killing other living entities. All the trees within an area of 12 miles were crushed by the falling body of the gigantic witch. It was remarkable that only the trees were crushed and none of the village houses. According to Sri Jiva Goswami's Vaishnava Toshani Tika, these trees, which were laden with pleasurable fruits, were located in Kamsa's personal garden. And that's mentioned elsewhere also. Here we go. On the other side of the border of Gokul, there was the Udyan, a particular small forest belonging to Kamsa. All the trees that were killed were part of the forest of Kamsa. She did not harm even a single tree within Gokula. Text 15 through 17. The Rakshasi's mouth was full of teeth, each resembling the front of a plow. Her nostrils were deep like mountain caves, and her breasts resembling big slabs of stone fallen from a hill. Her scattered hair was the color of copper. The sockets of her eyes appeared like deep blind wells. Her fearful thighs resembled the banks of a river. Her arms, legs, and feet seemed like big bridges, and her abdomen appeared like a dried-up lake. The hearts, ears, and heads of the cowherd men and women were already shocked by the Rakshasi screaming, and when they saw the fierce wonder of her body, they were even more frightened. There's no commentary to that. 18. Without fear, the child Krishna was playing on the upper portion of Putana Rakshasi's breast. When the gopis, means the elder gopis, it clarifies, saw the child's wonderful activities, they immediately came forward with great jubilation and picked him up. This shows her much bigger body. They picked up child Krishna. Another drawing taking Krishna, rescuing Krishna. He needs to be rescued, right? It looked like up on the hill, that's Varsana. Or maybe it's Nandagram. Nandagram. Jiva Goswami, in his commentary, the gopis around Yashoda, understanding that the demon killed children, left Yashoda and Rohini, who had fainted, and ran, took the child from the dead body, and returned to their houses. Their affection for him increased on seeing that he was playing happily on her breast. Because he was a child, he had no fear. But actually, he made others have no fear as well. Seeing him moving his hands and legs as if dancing while situated on her breast, they became astonished or overjoyed. Stimulating emotion. This Krishna is always doing that. Different emotions. They then went directly and climbed up on the huge corpse lying on the ground and took the child away. Since they all had natural affection for Krishna, they developed great power to do this. It will be described that they knew how to perform protective rituals with nyasa. We'll hear some more about nyasa. I'll mention it now and mention it again. Nyasa is part of the pujaris know what nyasa is because they use it. It's saying mantra and touching different parts of the body while saying the mantra. We do by applying tilak, say mantra, touch a part of the body, and apply tilak. So for deity worship, on the deity or on the body of the pujari or combination, there's different procedures. The mantras are recited while touching parts of the body of the deity or parts of the body of the worshipper. So we're going to hear some more about nyasa. Where did I end up? Oh, there. It should be understood that these gopis were the same age as Yashoda, since they protected Krishna with the affection of a mother. Now, there's going to be a few slides here, and then in upcoming, the part 4, you all should have received a PDF, so I'm just going to be reading from the PDF. And this is a particular excerpt from Gopal Champu. And it's, Snigdhakanta asking Madhukanta questions. So the answer is, though the word gopi is commonly used, the word gopi, Krishna's beloveds, in this context should be taken to mean other women. The word is used to refer to Krishna's mother and others in the following example from the Bhagavatam. This must be commentary. This is Canto 10, Chapter 5, which is the previous chapter, to the childhood pastimes of Krishna. The gopi wives of the cowherd men were very pleased to hear that Mother Yashoda had given birth to a son. So that's wives of the cowherd men. Or, in that same chapter, the gopis first executed the process of achmana, drinking a sip of water from the right hand. Okay, so moving right along. There she is again. Upon seeing Krishna, the gopis cried out, "Oh, look, that woman came to kill the son of Nanda, but she died as a result of her grave offense. Oh, how fortunate we are." Then the Gopas climbed up on Putana's body that seemed like the base of a mountain. Beholding that gentle yet fearless, beautiful boy with a sweet smile, the cowherd men picked him up and handed him from one to the other. Now this shows gopis picking him up, but that's okay. The verse is speaking of the gopas. And the gopis, and they're the same. Nice illustration. So here's another Snigdhakanta asking Madhukanta, how did Yashoda and the others maintain their self-control? How did their associates resolve the issue of what they were feeling and the situation and what they do next, in other words? Madhukanta said, making a deafening clamor, the elders and middle-aged women ran here and there, leaving Yashoda and Rohini. Some, by good fortune, saw Putana, huge like a mountain, fall from the sky. Without fear they approached and took Krishna, who was playing fearlessly on her chest. They ran quickly to the house, only to find Yashoda and Rohini unconscious, and became completely bewildered about what to do. One old, intelligent woman placed the child in their laps, Yashoda and Rohini. When this happened, their life airs returned by the nectar of the child's presence. Seeing the child, they again fainted in bliss. They then returned to their consciousness but wept. Gradually, the two women became steady. They embraced the child, looked at him, kissed him, and smelled his head. The two mothers, without fear, began to see Krishna as the subduer of Putana. So remember this, the question is, how do they maintain their equilibrium in this calamity? The mothers then bathed Krishna in cow urine and protected him with mantras. The older women spoke to Yashoda in choked voice, "Oh, Yashoda, may whatever pious acts we have accrued from our paternal and maternal minds give auspiciousness and happiness to this child." All remained blissful to give comfort to Yashoda. The two mothers and others then began describing the horrible acts of Putana. While doing so, their voices wavered, and the syllables and words became unclear. It's a highly emotional circumstance. Putana is dead, and Krishna is rescued, and they're greatly relieved and reviewing the events and their emotions connected to the events. Garga Samhita continues. A great wonder happened. The earth and all its continents moved. She became 12 miles long, and her thunderbolt body broke many tall and strong trees and made them fall to the ground, O King of Kings. When the Gopas saw her horrible gigantic body, they said, "This child was crushed by her fingers. He could not have remained alive." Then, seeing the smiling infant yawn after drinking the demoness's milk, and then play on her breast, the astonished women, along with the Yashoda and Rohini, grabbed him and pulled him down from the breast. Now, Ananda Vrindavan Champu. Then the gopis told Yashoda, "Oh, pious one, here is your son, please embrace him." Thinking their words like those heard in a dream, Yashoda said, "Are you tricking me?" Like a person suffering under the spell of an evil planet, Yashoda could not believe them. However, she regained conviction when Krishna was placed in her lap. Vrajeshwari Yashoda appeared like a woman awakening from a deep sleep of lamentation, or a dead body coming back to life, or an unconscious person returning to his senses. Next, they're going to take some action with both Krishna and with Putana's body. Thereafter, Mother Yashoda and Rohini, along with the other elderly gopis, waved about the switch of a cow. Switch means like the little tassel at the end of the cow's tail. To give full protection to the child Krishna. Just in case you want to know what to do to help your children. The child was thoroughly washed with cow urine and then smeared with the dust raised by the movements of the cows. Then different names, this is the nyasa procedure, different names of the Lord were applied with cow dung. It's, very inexpensive tilak. On 12 different parts of his body, beginning with the forehead as done in applying tilak. In this way, the child was given protection. And Prabhupada's purport to this verse. There are so many facilities afforded by cow protection, but people have forgotten these arts. The importance of protecting cows is therefore stressed by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, Krishi Go Raksha, etc. Vishwanath. This verse mentions that Yashoda, Rohini, and other gopis performed rituals of protection. Yashoda and Rohini did not take a leading role, however, because they were extremely affected by anxiety for Krishna's safety. The elderly gopis waved a cow's tail around all of Krishna's limbs to protect him. They also offered other items such as mustard seeds and touched Krishna with the edge of their winnowing basket. What's a winnowing basket? Winnowing basket is something that's used to gather seeds or items, and there's long stalks of some vegetable production, and the winnowing basket removes the seeds or the fruits from the chaff. Jiva Goswami. This verse and later verses show how they had the ability to protect him out of affection. Fearing for the health of the child, so he's safe, but they're not stopping there. Yashoda and Rohini could do nothing at first. The others had the two women with them in order to pacify their grief. They performed actions to protect the child everywhere, inside and out, for auspiciousness. They did this in the best way. Next verse, so there's the painting. There's the switch of the cow's tail. Cow is very happy. The gopis first executed the process of achmana, drinking a sip of water from the right hand. They purified their bodies and hands with nyasa mantra, and then applied the same mantra upon the body of the child. So they purified themselves first, achman and nyasa, and then they did the same with their little boy. And they're treating him like this. They all have paternal affection or maternal affection. This shows the same. And this shows the same. There's different scenes in one painting. Over on the left, there's Putana, Krishna on the body of Putana. They pick him up. They're doing all the nice things to take care of him. And very interesting way, nice big platter or basin for holding water, and they're bathing the child with cow urine. A team effort. One of the nice contributions to pastimes of Krishna and many other things is Madhavananda's, some of you may receive this, Krishna Katamrita, or Putana's Vada, or her death. This is an old one. Thereafter, he's had like 4 different issues focusing just on Putana. The most recent issue was the Adi Purana example of who Putana was in her previous life. I mentioned that the first day. Madhavananda is very gifted at finding very interesting references. Mother Yashoda and Rohini, along with the other elderly gopis, waved a cow's tail about to give full protection to the child, Sri Krishna. The child was thoroughly washed with cow urine and then smeared with the dust raised by the movements of the cows. Then different names of the Lord were applied with cow dung on 12 different parts of the body, beginning with the forehead as done in applying tilak. In this way, the child was given protection. So in case you know, why we put on our tilak every day? Just a little sharing. Once upon a time, as a young brahmachari, we were trained to ask ourselves as we're doing each thing, why am I getting up early in the morning? Preparing myself to go to, why am I taking a bath? Why am I putting on my dhoti? Why am I applying tilak? You know, be thoughtful about each activity, not just do it mechanically. And the way that Vishnu Jan Swami trained us, because he was a very prominent personality, although he was on the West Coast, his influence reached all over the country, as being Prabhupada taught us this way. But specifically now, tilak, it's not just making a mark on the body, it's making a mark on the body. It's not just a mantra, it's a mantra, but it's purification. The body is then to be protected, because that's what tilak is indicating. And when the mantra is there and the tilak is there, then the forms of the Lord protect those different parts of the body. I mean, it's important to give protection. It's also important to do the protection with the proper consciousness. Okay. According to Brahma Vaivarta Purana, this mantra was originally given by Brahma, who then gave it to Shiva, who gave it to Durvasa Muni, who gave it to Yashoda in Nanda Maharaj's palace. Parampara. Vishwanath. The gopis hastily started the rituals of protection without first doing Achman because of great fear. After calming down, they did the rituals properly. By first performing Achmana, then they performed Anga Nyasa, Anga means limbs, and Kara Nyasa on their own bodies and hands. Then they invoked Bija mantras on Krishna's limbs. The Bija consists of the first syllable of the name with an anuswara, so Namaha, or Narayanaya, unto Narayana. It's technical, anuswara. Jiva Goswami writes, Yashoda and Rohini are not included here as before. This is indicated by the word pratak, or separately. The bija nyasa is formed by the first syllable of the name of the Lord with an anuswara followed by namaha. Yam yagyaya. The aya is the anuswara, unto. The names of Aja and Ishvara were used to touch 11 parts of Krishna's body. Now here comes a very interesting, I mentioned this, and now here's the slide. This is Hari Suri Prabhu's realization from Hari Parshad Prabhu's translation. Krishna is indeed all-destroying time. like a brahmana about to commence the consumption of the feast of thousands of demons, he first performed achmana 6 times, indicating we're accustomed performing arti or something like that 3 times. And there's another rule 6 times. So the 6 times was Putana's milk and her 5 bodily airs, 6 times achmana. The feast of killing 1,000 demons. Then comes some of the other technical parts in 2 verses. Shukadev Goswami informed Maharaj Parikshit that the gopis, following the proper system, protected Krishna, their child, with this mantra. It gives the mantra. May Aja protect your legs. May Maniman protect your knees. Yagya, your thighs. Vatuta, the upper part of your waist. Hayagriva, your abdomen. Keshava, protect your heart. Isha, your chest. The sun god, your neck. Vishnu, your arms. Urukrama, your face. And Ishvara, your head. May Chakri protect you from the front. Shri Hari Gadadhar, the carrier of the club, protect you from the back. And may the carrier of the bow, who is known as the enemy of Madhu, and Lord Ajana, the carrier of the sword, protect your 2 sides. Urugaya, the carrier of the conch shell, protect you from all corners. Upendra, protect you from above. Garuda, protect you from the ground. May Lord Haladar, the Supreme Person, protect you on all sides. That's it, no commentary. Next 2 verses. May Rishikesh protect your senses. Narayana, your life air. Svetadreep, protect the core of your heart. And Yogeshwara, protect your mind. May Prishnigarbha protect your intelligence. And the Supreme Personality of Godhead, your soul. While you are playing, may Govinda protect you. And while you are sleeping, may Madhava protect you. May Lord Vaikuntha protect you while you are walking. May Lord Narayan, the husband of the goddess of fortune, protect you while you are sitting. Similarly, may Lord Yagyabhuk, the fearful enemy of all evil planets, always protect you while you enjoy life. So standard mantras, just names of Vishnu. Oops. And commentary, Jiva Goswami. Bhagavan Para means Swayam Bhagavan. The subtle meaning here is that the expansions should protect Krishna's limbs, since the expansions are the limbs of his possession, and Swayam Bhagavan should protect himself, since he is the possessor of the limbs. The avatars protecting his limbs are his avarana deities, or protective forms surrounding him. Does anybody here recall we had some lengthy discussion about avarana deities? I'll remind you. You'll probably remember when I start to say it. It was in relation, because it was a new term for me, so I wanted to understand it as clearly as possible. When in the spiritual world, in Ayodhya Dham, there are 2 persons who are avarana personalities. They're plenary expansions of Lord Ramachandra, and they're with him all the time, Dvidvida and Minda. And their partial expansions appeared in his Leela, because that was part of the arrangement. And both of them became corrupted. And so they had to be dealt with differently, without the detail. Dvidvida lived a really long time, and Balaram took care of him. and mine does. So Avarana deities means by the side of the Supreme Lord, there is sometimes it's like aides de camp. Prabhupada uses that phrase. But they're Vishnu forms that may have their expansions to assist the Lord in his pastimes. So that's one of the usage of the terms Avarana deities. There are several references that say that Nrsimha and Ramachandra are Avarana deities of Swayam Bhagavan Krishna. Several references in our Acharya's writings, particularly Jiva Goswami uses that expression several times. So they're like him, but not the same as him. He's the original personality of Godhead, and there are expansions of him that are like him, but not the same as him. So these procedures of saying mantra and applying, touching the pressure points or the parts of the body where we apply our tilak, it's a procedure, it's a standard deity worship procedure meant for protecting the body, and that they know the procedure and they're protecting their body and then in turn protecting Krishna's body. Same method. Protective forms surrounding him, the original person. Names are then mentioned in relation to Krishna's activities. Govinda means he who plays among the cows. Govinda. So a little education. The gopis perceive different suitable forms in relation to the activities of Krishna. So here's mentioning just three. Madhava, the Lord's my computer isn't doing that. It's something with the wires. You know how to fix it? Go to the next slide. Okay, go to the next slide. Just the one slide. Okay, what the slide, the one slide that's jumping around is saying, there's a meaning behind each of the names. And it's recommended, it's in Hari Bhakti Vilas. We discussed this during the Festival of the Holy Name. It's in Hari Bhakti Vilas that when reciting mantra, you should meditate on the meaning. So it gives the meaning. As they were reciting, they're not just ritualistically reciting. These are very advanced Vaishnavis. They're meditating on the meaning, and the meaning means certain things. And as they're applying the mantra, touching parts of the body, that's nyasa, and saying the mantra, they're meditating on the meaning of this particular form or expansion of the original form of Krishna to protect the form of Krishna. By uttering Vishnu's name or names, this is a nice statement, Prabhupada's purport, while decorating the body with tilak, we give protection to the body by chanting 12 names of Vishnu. Although Govinda, or Lord Vishnu, is one, or are one, he has different names and forms with which to act differently. But if one cannot remember all the names at one time, then simply chant, Lord Vishnu, Vishnu, Vishnu. Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu. When in doubt. Another nice slide showing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan. Therefore, this is Prabhupada's commentary on this verse. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has recommended Kirtaniya Sadhari and Parambijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam and Kirtanadeva Krishna Shya Mukta Sangha Paramprajat. Very celebrated verses. Here's some other nomenclature that's nice for us to know. gives a whole bunch of names, as well as witches like Kotara, Revati, Jeshta, Putana, must mean Markatras and Bala Grahas, who give trouble to the body, the life air and the senses, loss of memory, madness, bad dreams, and great disturbances should be destroyed, since they're afraid of the names of Vishnu. Jiva Goswami. So bad elements, chant Krishna's name loudly. And there's another Hari Suri comment. More powerful than you, Krishna's form, is your holy name, because when it comes to protecting you, the gopis did not use any other technique but used your holy name to protect you. Which is true. I mean, it's woven into the verses, and now it's very, very explicit. How powerful is the holy name? Rupa Goswami's Namastika, verse 6. Oh, holy name. It starts Vacham, Vachakam. You are manifest in two forms, the Supreme Person, described by the holy name, and two, the sound of the holy name, Vacha and Vachaka. We know that the second form is more merciful than the first. Even a person who commits many offenses to the first form may become always plunged into an ocean of bliss by serving the second with his voice. And we're nearly concluding this evening's session. Verse number 30. Shukadev Goswami continued. All the gopis, headed by Mother Yashoda, were bound by maternal affection. After they thus chanted mantras to protect the child, Mother Yashoda gave the nipple of her breast to suck, and then got him to lie down on his bed. Vishwanath writes, the gopis, being bound by maternal affection, completed the rituals for protection. After offering her breast to Krishna and seeing him happily sucking her milk, Yashoda could understand that Krishna was in good health. That's a sign for mothers. She then lay Krishna down to sleep. He's very happy. She's very happy. And it's a happy ending. The gopis always remained in Yashoda's house as nurses because of their affection. They engaged in various activities there because of great eagerness for the Lord. Yashoda showed her natural affection as a mother by giving her breast. This is also a customary way of seeing if the child is in good health. So now we're going to go to the final slide and some reading that you should have a copy in a PDF format. So this is again Madhavananda from his Krishna Karnamrita or Krishna Katamrita. One may ask why Krishna didn't manifest a huge form the size of Putana's to fight with her. In his purport to Bhagavatam 2:7-27, Srila Prabhupada explains, Lord Krishna did not need to expand himself to the length of the she-demon Putana, although he was quite competent to extend himself more than 6 miles long. In his Vamana incarnation, he posed himself as a dwarf Brahmana. But when he took possession of his land, promised by Bali Maharaj, he expanded his footsteps to the top of the universe, extending over thousands and millions of miles. So it was not very difficult for Krishna to perform a miracle by extending 6 miles to cope with the she-demon Putana. Then the natural parental love of Yashoda would have been hurt, because in that way Yashoda would have come to know that her so-called son Krishna was God himself. And with the knowledge of the Godhead of Krishna, Yashoda Mai would have lost the temper of her love for Krishna as a maternal, as a natural mother. And there was another document you should have received, because there was some question, and largely, well, two assists, largely Gopal Hari found some nice references from writings of the acharyas explaining it's just not possible for, even she saw what she saw and heard what she heard and everything. They saw Krishna lifting Govardhan Hill, and she saw inside Krishna's mouth, and her maternal affection was too strong. She couldn't see her other than her son. And even if she was told, this is not your son, it's Vasudeva and Devaki's son, she couldn't believe it. And that was compliments of Varsana, Mataji sir. When there was the meeting, the pastime where the solar eclipse, the residents of Dwarka, the residents of Vrindavan, and persons from all around in all directions came to Kurukshetra, the holy place, on the occasion of the solar eclipse, and there were meetings and discussions. So during the meetings and discussions, they took the opportunity to bring Yashoda to the side and let her know, nice try, but Krishna's not your son. And she water off a duck's back. They saw it was a hopeless case. She's just like this starry-eyed lady, and let's go somewhere else. So though she heard, she's impervious to display of his power or hearing from others, authoritative words. I mean, there was so much respect for Vasudeva and Devaki, but it just didn't penetrate because her affection is so strong. Here's one more reference. This is from Back to Godhead magazine of old. The elderly gopis of Vrindavan were so absorbed in affection for Krishna that they wanted to save him, although there was no need to save him, for he had already protected himself. However, when the child was protected by Vishnu mantra, Mother Yashoda felt, now he's safe. In the meantime, all the cowherd men who went to Mathura to pay tax returned home and were struck with wonder in seeing the gigantic dead body of Putana. Nanda Maharaj recalled the prophecy of Vasudeva and considered him, Vasudeva, to be a great sage and mystic, yogi. Otherwise, how could he have foretold an incident that happened during his absence from Vrindavan? After this, all the residents of Vrindavan of Vraja cut the gigantic body of Putana into pieces and piled it up with wood for burning. That's tomorrow's session. Part 4. When all the limbs of Putana's body were burning, the smoke emanating from the fire created a good aroma. Generally, burning flesh doesn't smell good. But a guru sent due to her being killed by Krishna. So, part 4 tomorrow. I mean, one of the parts I like especially out of all of this is, well, two parts. Although they're simple ladies, village ladies, we don't expect village ladies to be so knowledgeable in so many rituals and procedures and things. But they were knowledgeable. They knew just what to do. And because their life has with cows, they knew how the cows can help. They're not brahmanas, but they knew chanting mantras. Vaishyas also know about chanting mantras. And that's what they did. They knew how to apply the mantras, and their intention was, it's going to come next, like tomorrow's the final session. The body, the inauspicious body, and all of that, what that represented, they wanted to get rid of the body, burn the body. But to protect his body from what had just happened and any lingering evil influences that create auspiciousness is chanting. That's a little secret. The age in which we live is not an auspicious age, it's just the opposite. So what to do? It's very easy. The principle is very easy. And the application of the principle is also easy. And by that process of taking shelter, genuinely, not just mechanically, but genuinely taking shelter of the holy name, then protection from the onslaught of the influences of the age of Kali. And may it never slacken in the course of your lifetime. May you always continue continually striving for the whole duration of your life. Take significant, real, genuine shelter in the holy name. Of course, along with the other activities, but at the tip of the spear in the ways of devotional services, the chanting of the holy name. It gets special notice or attention in the age of Kali. It's not that people didn't chant in other ages, but because the other procedures are not as effective as the chanting, it's the remedy to cure the problem, the inauspiciousness created by the onslaught of the age of Kali. The proliferation of degradation is moving swiftly. Older generation people, or senior citizens, see it easily. Those somewhere in the middle can see it easily. And the younger persons may not see it so much because you don't have the contrast of what it was like and what it is today. Prabhupada would often speak from that perspective because he was very senior. And he knew, in India, not just in the West, things had gone downhill so rapidly. Liquor shops and slaughterhouses and so much. It's oppressive. And is it going to get better? Probably not. Is it going to get worse? Probably. So what's the protection? Is there protection? Of course, doing things like we're doing right now, but what's the percentage of the total population of Naperville, or just any neighborhood? How many persons are interested in? Some, certainly. And to expand, to widen the circle, that's nice. And then, the interest that people have for doing something that's nice generally is to get something materially nice. Punya, to get sense gratification. There's not all like that, of course, but it's rare. And so here we are, with a great opportunity. So now I'll stop haranguing. Take the opportunity seriously. It's part of the reason for going so slowly with all these different commentaries. The focus is to bring one's attention and attraction to Krishna. by hearing like this? The all attractiveness of Krishna, the mercifulness of Krishna, the glories of Krishna. Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Including dealing, we'll hear, dealing with Putana the way he dealt with Putana and the outcome of where she went. Krishna is very special. So any discussion? We have a microphone?
Maharaj, if you allow, I have 3 questions.
Yeah.
It was, so Putana is a very ghastly demoness. And the verse 18 speaks of how Krishna was not afraid of her.
Mm.
And we know that Krishna is afraid of the little lathi in Mother Yashoda's hand. So he feels emotions such as fear. However, they're not triggered or stimulated by, the logical things that make sense. They're his emotions.
Yeah, it's a good point. Good point. Meaning, say same thing a different way. He's controlled by love, not by might. And in each of because beyond the childhood pastimes or the Braja pastimes, he deals with many, 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 many formidable demons. Very, very powerful, formidable demons. The ones in Braja are also, but Jarasandha and Kalyavana and so many. Very, very, very powerful, formidable persons. Of course, Kamsa, Shishupal, very powerful. So fearless. He's all powerful. So that can't move him. And in appropriate ways, he deals with each one. So the essence, in other words, the essence is loving dealings with the devotees. It's important to hear again and again and remember again and again, because it's easy to think of him as like one of us, but he's, we should be like him. Okay, anything else? You want to add something?
A couple other questions, Gumaraj. There was one verse that spoke about nectar and poison and how neither one was transformed, Putana or
Yeah,
Krishna.
wasn't that interesting?
And then at the end we hear that when her body was burned, there was an amazing fragrance.
Yes.
So there was some transformation.
Good point. You're a good logician. Her spirit was also transformed. So what was the point that was being made? One point obviously is contamination can't be transferred to Krishna. Apapa vidham. And that which is fully pure purifies an impure place. That we also know. So what was the point? We maybe go back to the slide and see what the slide says, but I don't know if I want to do that right now. Something else?
And finally, Guru Maharaj, there was mention of bija mantras.
Bija mantras.
And it's wonderful that we have so much training on how to chant the holy name and what the meaning of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is. And there's a lot of emphasis on that.
But
We also have bija mantras as part of our Gayatri. And there isn't the same emphasis on understanding the meaning of those mantras? Is it because, it's very esoteric and we're not qualified? So we continue to chant the holy name. And
well, the subject, there's different reasons. It's not just those reasons. To wire it that we're not the body, how many times and how many times and how many times we still think we're the body. So then, a way to go beyond that is the spiritual conception. We read Bhagavad Gita, and so our capacity is, less. So we have to build our capacity. So there. Second explanation. There are writings, but those writings, who are those writings for? Persons that don't know what the mantra is can read those writings. So there are explanations. There are books written by our acharyas, but they're not talked about so much as you're saying. Not just bija mantras, but the whole mantras. The details and details. And brahmanas are to learn those details. But being learned doesn't mean that one has captured the essence. Here's for example, in one of the two Krishna Gayatri mantras that we receive, it's right in Sri Brahma Samhita. Anybody that purchase of Sri Brahma Samhita, published by the BBT, can read the mantra and the meaning of the words of the mantra. Now, what's it going to mean to them? It depends. So it's a higher level topic, that just as the Gayatri mantras are not to be repeated publicly, etc., etc., etc. So it's a little confidential, and it's not something that's often spoken about, as you're pointing out, because for those reasons mentioned. But for someone who's interested, there's literatures, and my sense is the persons that have taken the time and trouble to become familiar with those literatures, they're not necessarily any more realized than, you're not the body. They may know. I started doing, out of curiosity and being, the little scholarly little kid in me was, wanting to know the meanings. And there's mention specifically knowing the meanings, but precise pronunciations is another thing. So if you're interested, learn Sanskrit. And then that's not only the proper pronunciation, but the meanings. And then this pronunciation means this, and that just like this rasa, compliments of Jiva Goswami, it refers to rasatala. I wouldn't know that without our acharyas. So my response to the general statement you're making is true, and become well read in Prabhupada's books, the Bhaktivedanta purports, before, this is me speaking, before going on to, what's next and what's next and what's next. Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhav, and Chaitanya Charitamrita, and go over it again and again and again, and you'll be well situated, even if you don't know how to exactly pronounce all the mantras and the meanings of all the mantras. The natives are restless. Oh,
Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Thank you for the wonderful session. And in the course of the slides, you showed how the residents were so much depending on cows
yeah.
and purifying Krishna with the cows,
Yes.
the urine of the cows. We also read that we say that Krishna's Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha, and cows comes first even before the Brahmanas. So is worship of the cows a, by itself a form of devotional service?
Of course. Of course. Now, the consciousness behind the worship is something else, but, yes, in principle, yes. Worship, the respecting the Vaishnavas, but, worshiping Tulsi Devi, worshiping the cows. It's one of the reasons why some of us in Rome really like Gita Nagari. And like taking people to Gita Nagari, because besides, everything, the atmosphere of the place, there's the cows.
So, like a dairy farmer in Scotland who doesn't kill the cows, would they, even if they don't know about Krishna, are they doing devotional service, Agyata Sukriti, like
It's
someone
Agyata
who...
Sukriti, but it's not exactly the same as devotional service. Vegans are not engaged in devotional service. They get some credits for sure, pious credits, protecting cows. But it's not in the consciousness that it's for the pleasure of Krishna. Something else?
You had also mentioned about, and that goes to the discussion on mantras, that we should meditate on the meaning of the mantra.
Yeah.
The Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, we are generally practicing to hear the mantra. And in my own practice, like when I try to think of the meaning, I can't do both. It's hard to hear the mantra. So is it something that we focus on the hearing and the meaning naturally comes, or we try to focus on the meaning also?
I addressed this during the Festival of the Holy Name, and I don't mind repeating it because what I said, it's not like we're supposed to have a parallel processor and oscillate back and forth between this one, that one, and then wire it. Rather, it's something, my understanding and experience is it's something that gets side by side nurtured, and it becomes part of your experience of chanting. When you're chanting, it's not just the sound, but it's the more mature, it's according to Hari Bhaktivilas. The purpose, one of the purposes in meditating on the meaning is to elevate the quality of chanting. Or say it the other way, quality chanting is marked by meditating on the meaning while chanting. So it's not parallel, it's just like a seed that by nurturing it, it grows. And it becomes part of your experience. It's not oscillating back and forth. Now, for you and me and the rest of us that are just accustomed to, please let me just hear. Don't give me something else to do. Let me focus on hearing. So that's fine. And while focusing on hearing, we can also be looking to our great souls that are teachers in the process, like Hari Bhaktivilas is a process of how to chant with quality. That's right in that verse of Hari Bhakti Vilas. Japa Sampati. So you come to the stage of quality, greater, improving the quality. So hearing while chanting will certainly is the foundation for quality, and then meditation on the meaning. So it's a seed that you water it and it grows. You have to be obsessive about it, but you water it and it grows. It becomes part of your experience. That's my response.
Maharaj, one last thing I was, this time or I think last time, few times, we were reading, it says nothing inauspicious can come when the Lord is being glorified and chanted, His glories are being chanted. So when devotees, sometimes like in Africa, when they're preaching, they were killed by thugs, then in that case, is it Krishna's, part of Krishna's
Delivering them.
delivering them? It's not inauspicious.
No. I mean, it's not lovely, but it's not inauspicious. It's superlatively auspicious. Neela Manjari?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I was just appreciating the sweetness and depth of Vaishnava scriptures and the commentaries of the Acharyas.
Yeah.
Recently, I have been hearing somehow like running into a lot of impersonalists. And they start speaking about this oneness. And I'm like, I don't say anything on this part, but my appreciation for Vaishnava literature like this it's just so sweet and so sublime. People of this world, they do not know what Prabhupada gave us is very unique, very unique. I feel like very fortunate because I think there are only two religions in this world which have a very personal conception of God. One is Vaishnavism, and the second that comes closest to it is Christianity. But even those people who have read Christian scriptures, they have commented that it's nothing close to what the details of what Krishna does. Just one pastime, and there is so much commentary, filled with commentary about this is like this is how they felt, and just I feel like I'm immensely fortunate, after meeting one of them, she was not an impersonalist, but I met someone from Holland, and she was expressing I had all these doubts since I was growing up. And she said, I always question what is birth, what is death, but I had nobody to talk to about these deep questions because Holland is a very materialistic country.
Mm-hmm.
And she said she met nuns in the church, and she bought the Bhagavad Gita, she bought the Quran, she bought the Bible, and then she said, but still I don't have someone whom I can call God. And that really shook me, because the kind of protection that we have, just by chanting the holy name, is we have a shelter. Just chant the holy name. I don't recognize it all the time, how fortunate I am. But when I met her, it shook me.
I can feel it.
So just that appreciation of the wealth that we have.
Well, yeah, just reflecting on what you're sharing, because of your unique or profound dedication to deity worship, the personalism has grown and grown and grown, matured in you. through the medium of deity worship, because everything is surrounded around the deity. So much of your life is surrounded around the deity, and of course there's procedures, and there's cleanliness, and there's punctuality, and there's things that are the do's and the do-nots. However, those mode of goodness things, when done in devotion, that's part of devotion. It's a little bit, when I'm saying Gopal Hari is a little bit like my comment to you about meditating on the meaning, because it's the more mature stage of chanting. So the more mature stage of living your life, it's unshakable. How can one leave a personal conception after assimilating, bringing within the personalism, the dedication to the person, the name as a person, the scriptures, all the personalism that we have? How can you leave it? You're hooked. You're addicted. In a good sense. It's good. So and where were we before? Same as those other people. More or less. Some persons more, some persons less, but more or less.
Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much for this wonderful class. And I was just reflecting on the fact that the intensity of the spiritual emotions as portrayed by the residents of Braja in both these stories of today, of Putana and then Kalia, and how, how it contrasted with material emotions, it's so much more deeper, because when we have material emotions, it only lasts as long as the attachment is there, and then it disappears. But here we see it's like endless, and I was thinking how the way you portrayed it is like a tragedy the world has never seen. It's that kind of it's that kind of tragedy. I was wondering, Maharaj, that it's this love and separation, do you to obtain that, one has to first experience union, and then union can happen through the process of hearing, right, Maharaj? Because Rukmini, she was hearing about Krishna and she was feeling the separation. So my question is that, does this intensity come after we really, after the union part?
Well, I would like to modify into just the hearing part.
Okay.
Because she heard. And that was it. Her heart was soft and inclined, and by hearing, she was hooked. And then, then comes the attachment. So it's that sequence. Yes, you can't feel separation without feeling attachment. So how do you get the attachment? But by service, but service that starts with hearing. And start with the name, then fame, quality, pastimes. Hearing. Hearing is our focus. And the meaning. Do you want two microphones?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, I think you mentioned earlier that among the residents, specifically the women, they weren't Brahmanas.
They were Vaishyas.
So was the entire community just Vaishyas, or was it a mix of the four?
Oh, mix. They had all three.
Okay. And then another question. I know Krishna specifically says...
But even they were Vaishyas, they knew mantras. Okay, go ahead.
They were doing Brahminical activities.
They knew mantras. They knew how to do the needful. They didn't have to bring Namaruchi in to do a yagya.
My second question, I know Krishna says he's partial to all, yet then he says he gives favor to Brahmins. Am I?
He favors the devotees.
Devotees.
Go Brahmana, we just heard, right? Go Brahmana Hitayacha. Go comes first. Moo. And then comes the Brahmanas.
Guru Maharaj, I was thinking as we are hearing about this Kaliya pastime, Putana pastime, and Govardhan Leela, these Brajavasis, they just left everything and such intense shelter taking and being with Krishna. And I'm just thinking parallel to us, like Queen Kunti says, when we have these miseries, our intensity of shelter taking deepens. I see that all the time. But they're always in Krishna service and absorption and thinking of Krishna. But even for them, we are seeing their intensity increase. Is that a right understanding?
Yeah, sure. Sure. I mean, some persons do other things besides increase their dependence upon Krishna. But certainly it's a Vaishnava principle or tendency. When there's danger, you take shelter of your protector. It's natural. You had something, no? Hari Hari, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.